All right, welcome everyone to this webinar. And today we have an important topic to discuss. My name is Samad and CEO of mConsent, and I welcome you all. I still see a lot of people joining here. Thank you, Jennifer. Hi. Hi, Mark. So let me just clarify something who this webinar is for. This webinar is for dental practices and the dental practice staff, office managers, dentists themselves, owners of the practices. I did mention practice managers, so this is who this webinar is for. This webinar is focused on discussing front office operations of dental offices. So if there's somebody who's looking for something else, I apologize for the confusion, but this webinar is focused on the front office operations for dental practices. So thank you everyone for joining. Actually, we are on time and we'll get started here. So as I mentioned, we're going to discuss front office operations. And this started with, I just want to share a quick story of how this started. And I have to make a confession that I learned this difference, a difference between paperless and automated, from a lady that I visited to her practice a few years ago. But before we get started, the purpose of this webinar is, yes, to share the difference between paperless and automated, but also to share the impact of rapid intake framework that we're going to discuss today. What does it mean when you automate your office? What is the impact that you should be seeing on your offices? And we're going to discuss a practical framework in this webinar today. So the next 20 minutes are going to be super important. If you want to take notes, please do take notes. If you want to take screenshots, you're more than welcome to take screenshots. But what I would like to do is that I want you to shut down your social media, all the distractions, and give me this 20 minutes. Next 20 minutes are going to be important because what I'm going to talk about is the results achieved by one of the practices, what I'm going to discuss, but there are experienced by multiple practices across the board, people who implement this rapid intake framework in their practices. And the results that they are seeing, this one of these practices that I've seen is that improvement in their revenue, daily revenue collection, which also known as daily production, improvement in their show rate, improvement in the staff documentation time reduced tremendously by 70 to 80%. So there are real results that are coming out of this rapid intake framework that we are going to discuss today. Again, we are going to talk about the front office operations and what does it take to obtain these results is what we're going to discuss in this webinar. So I need your full attention for next 15 to 20 minutes, and then you're free to do whatever you need to do. And if you have any questions, do send us in the chat box. I'm going to periodically try to take a look at the questions, but if you don't answer, we'll get back to you. Since you have submitted your emails, if you haven't, please put your email in there. We will be able to get back to you with your questions if you have any questions. But the next 15 to 20 minutes are going to be critical for you to get to see how these results are achieved. So as I was mentioning about the story that I visited this office a couple of years ago, met a young lady at a practice. I was invited by the dentist, and he's also owner of a few practices he owns, and he wanted me to discuss this front office efficiency problem that he was having. So when I talked to this lady, she mentioned me, this lady was super smart. She was doing her MBA. She was helping the doctor to find the pain points within the practice on how we can automate some of those pain points and automate those workflows. So I asked her this question. So what is the problem? She said, are you guys paperless? She said, yes, we are paperless, but we are not automated. Now, that is a statement that I think opened my eyes, and I asked her, like, what do you mean? Tell me, what do you mean that you're paperless? Looks like you're in the right direction, but why are you not automated? So she says that, yes, we are paperless. The format is paperless, but we still do all the chasing with the patients. We still have to call the patient. We still have to call the patients for insurances. We are still chasing patients to complete their forms online. We are still chasing patients to complete all their, get their IDs and get their insurance cards. All this stuff is still a lot of chase that's happening. And that tells me that there's a huge difference between when you say you're paperless. If you ask offices, they will tell you 50 times that, hey, yeah, we are paperless. But are you still chasing the paperwork at your practice? Are you still chasing to find those patients to complete the documentation so you can check them in so they can be seen by the doctor, right? So there's a huge myth. Going paperless doesn't mean anything. That means that you have changed the format of the clipboard. Now it has moved from the table as a paper into your computer as a paper. That's what it is, but it doesn't mean anything. So a lot of practices have this fragmented workflow problem. They're not connected to each other. They're not talking to each other. What we want to talk about, and that creates, is that it creates a lot of burden on the front office. It creates a burden where the front office have to now chase each and every workflow to make sure that her tasks get completed and she's able to fulfill the responsibility of getting the patients into the practice and getting the paperwork done and getting the insurance eligibility take care of and all that stuff. So in each and every process of the three different processes I'm talking about, whether you have a patient in the office, whether you have a patient that haven't visited but sending you the form, sending you the information, there's a lot of manual documentation. There's still a lot of retyping of the data into the EMR system. All that stuff is happening. So the workflows are fragmented. And what we're going to talk about. So what I've done is that I have divided the offices into three different segments. Number one is the manual workflow in the offices on your front office. What do I mean by manual? That means that you still have all the paper forms that needs to be signed by the patients. You still have clipboards that the patient have when the patient visits you, you hand them over and they're filling out all the paperwork. This is like 10 years ago. Nothing wrong with it if you're a practice that are starting up or your practice that is still okay with that, but there is a price that you're paying for it. That means that you have high chances of errors. You have patients that take 15, 20 minutes. It's all about efficiency, and it takes time. They're spending a lot of time in the waiting room, and then they're missing signatures, and you're dependent on a human to make sure that everything is valid and done properly in order for and you're compliant before you can bring them into your practice to see the doctor. So that's a manual office. So if you are someone who are listening to this and you think that your office is still on a manual, please type M in your chat box. I want to see people who are still manual and type M, because you do have a huge opportunity to improve. And there's nothing wrong with it, as I said, but you do have a huge opportunity where you can start thinking about automating and getting your practice to a level where you're able to remove a lot of manual processes from your workflow. So the office number two, the category number two is semi-digital offices. And the people who are in semi-digital offices, these are the practices that have been able to maybe digitize their forms. They have tablets in their practice. The forms are still on the tablets. And when the patient visits, if they are able to give the tablet and the patient is able to fill out, or before the visit, they're able to email the form and they're able to send out this either a PDF or a link, whatever that is. They're able to, the front office have to send those forms out to those patients so that they get completed. And when they come in, now these forms have to be retyped into the system, into the practice management system, whether it's medical history, whether it's demographic information, whether it's just scanning the consent forms and putting into your practice management system. So you have been successfully be able to eliminate that clipboard that you have in the office, and you have been able to clear out a lot of paper that was floating around, but you still have a lot of manual chasing going on, and you still have to re-enter, retype all the information into the practice management system. And if the patient that doesn't fill out, which we see anywhere between 20 to 30% of patients are still not, doesn't fill out their forms and they just show up, right? So you still have to give them tablets, follow up with them, make sure that they are completing all the forms, and then you have to go back and retype information into the practice management system. This type of practices are, I call them as semi-digital. Yes, you have been able to reduce some errors, but there's still like a lot of fat-fingered errors that could happen while entering the information. So great that you're semi-digital, but you're not fully automated, because you're still doing a lot of chasing with the patients to get the information and complete the check-in process. All right, the framework that I'm going to talk about, in order for you to be called automated, or then I would say that we found this framework to be very practical. It's not a theoretical system where you learn and you take a screenshot of this and you forget about it. This is something that if you implement this, and this could be easily implemented, if you can implement this within your practice, you will start seeing the benefit in week one. There are many, many practices who have been able to take this and install in their practice, and they're seeing the results. And what I want you to do is that I want you to do the same thing. Take this, install this, try this out for a couple of weeks, come back to me and let me know how did this help you. The rapid intake framework is the easiest framework that you can implement into your front office, and you will be able to see any portion of it in any format, in any sequence you implement it. You will be able to see the impact of this immediately into your practice. So I'm going to go step by step, since we call it rapid. A for rapid for ready, R for ready, A for auto packets, P for point of arrival. You have that in front of you. I'm just going to go over this briefly. What do I mean by when I say ready in 48 hours? That means that what we are telling you is to have a checklist in place. The checklist is pretty simple. You have a checklist in which, for this patient, what are the things that you need to have ready 48 hours ahead of time to check in this patient's, meaning your insurance eligibility have to be ready, your frequencies have to be in place, is there any waiting time, is this active, inactive? There are 50 things you have to make sure that this patient is ready to be seen by the doctor. Do we have all the IDs? Do we have all the forms signed? Did we get all the forms back? And in this process, what we say is that, so if this is ready, this is a checklist that you need in place. If you have this checklist ready for each patient, and if your front office can mark that off, and if you can get 80 to 85% of your patients check in ready before patients come in, that's a win for you, and you will see the benefits of it very, very fast. Now, the second A is the auto packaging system, where you are able to assign the packets based on type of patients that are coming in. So if you have a new patient, you have a new patient packet. If you have an emergency patient, you have an emergency patient packet. If you have a patient that, ortho patient, you have their packet in place. So whatever type of patient is coming in, Spanish, English, you have that packet already in place in your system. And if you want to know how to do that, then probably one of our team members can help you out with, like, okay, how do I do this auto packaging within our system? If you are not using mConsent or something else, in mConsent, you can do that easily for sure. So with auto packaging, what you do is that you have to assign this at the confirmation of the appointment. As soon as the patient confirms the appointment, when you send out with your appointment reminder system, the patient should get the packet to fill it out, whether it's through email, through text message. And as the patient completes, the benefit of this is that your show rate, if the patient is able to complete the documentation, that means the patient is serious in showing up. And if the patient is completing, there's a high chance, more than 90%, that this patient is going to show up. If you have patient not completing their forms on time, that means you have a chance that this patient is not going to show up. So for you to reduce that chance, you have to send out your auto packets before, at the confirmation, or at the time of confirmation, when the patient is confirming their appointment. It could be 7 days ahead of time, 5 days ahead of time, whatever you want to set that up as. Okay. So that's number two. Number three is the point of arrival. As I said, 10, 15, 20% of patients, 30% in some cases, patients show up. They will give you the insurance information on the phone because somebody has called them to collect that information because of that ready in 48-hour checklist. But the forms are still not complete. What do you do in that case? You have a kiosk that's sitting in your office at point of arrival, and every patient have to go through that. And when you have patients go through that, they can see. You don't have to now remind them or check if the patient has completed the forms or not. The kiosk is going to tell them if the forms are not complete. The kiosk is going to ask them if they don't have a date of birth. The kiosk is going to ask them to provide the ID if they're missing the ID. So the kiosk is going to do a lot of work, which is going to take away the time from your front office, so they can focus on care and taking care of the payments and 50 other things that your front office can do. There is no dearth of things to do for the front office if you are able to pull them out of this manual documentation work. And then the fourth part is the in-consent, the in-chair e-consent. So in your back office, you just have an iPad, and the patient and you don't need to have any paper. You just need to have an iPad where all the forms are attached to the patient charts. And as the patient shows up, you pull up their forms, and the patient signs on the iPad, and this forms goes directly into your practice management system. The last one is direct write back into your practice management system. There are a lot of systems who will tell you, yeah, we do that, but they are not able to write back many fields into your practice management system. So whether it's medical history, whether it's demographic information, whether it's patient payments information, you need to make sure that you have a system that is able to write back into your system. You do not want your front office to manually enter this information into your practice management system. This will reduce errors into your system. This will improve your claim processing. Your claim rejection will be reduced. All this will tremendously help your practice if you're able to just directly move the information from the forms into your practice management without having to retype the data into your system. So that's what the rapid intake system looks like. So pre-visit, this is a graphical way to present it, right? So you need to have pre-visits done 48 hours ahead of time. All your new patient packets, your emergency packet, existing patient, whatever you have, needs to be set up so that it can be sent out with the appointment reminders, your IDs, your insurance information. Collect that 48 hours before, and you need to have the checklist. And if you need that checklist is pretty simple. It's a ready, not ready, and list of items that needs to be confirmed. We can email that out to you just in the chat. Just type in, like, I need checklist. Just write down checklist, and we'll be able to send out that checklist to you. Then you need to have e-forms that are in-office consent forms, whatever forms that you use in your office. Have that on an iPad ready to go. Whether you're in a single office or multiple offices, same consent forms, same check-in forms, everything can be standardized and given to you. The last part is the kiosk. Having a kiosk, it's a catch-up for your practice, meaning that if you have patients who haven't filled out the forms yet, as I said, the kiosk is going to help you out. Now, I have a question here. Where do I find the kiosk? You can connect with our team member. We can tell you, we do have kiosks that we provide with our system. With mConsent, you will get a kiosk that you can use, I believe, with the signature plan, and you'll be able to use that in your system. And it integrates with Dentrix, Eaglesoft, Open Dental, Dolphin, and a few other systems. So if you're looking for kiosks, I'm just going to shamelessly advertise. But the thing is that the focus is having a rapid intake system implemented into your front office. Okay. So what is the impact? The impact that we have seen in the practice that have implemented is that your check-in time is tremendously reduced from on average 10 to 15 minutes for a new patient goes down to 2 to 3 minutes. And if you have a kiosk in place, then you're basically your front office is able to do 50 other things rather than just helping patients with filling out the forms that haven't filled out. Here's the case study for Life Smiles Dental, who's in Dallas here. And what we were able to see is there over 90 days, we went back to check with them, how did this impact their production revenue? Daily production revenue increased by 13%. That is huge. Just having this rapid intake system in their practice improved their production revenue by 13%. Their staff hours went down. I know their show rate also went up. There are no negative reviews, meaning that the happy customers, the customers were satisfied with what they were getting. I'm sure they're going to get some positive reviews out of this, but so far they haven't seen any negative reviews that they were after implementing the system. So this practice especially really like the kiosk system just because it helps them so much. They give us the review, and that means a lot to companies like us. So again, if you want to take a screenshot of this, this is what the rapid intake system looks like. It's fully automated, helps your practice, and this is something that you should be seriously thinking about start implementing into your practice. Okay. Now, if you need help in looking at your processes, your workflows, we do have experts in our company here who can help you with this audit. So we can help you to see your processes, we can find the leaks, and we can help you out fixing those leaks. So if you have questions on that, please, there should be a link somewhere that will ask you to schedule the check-in audit, ask you to schedule an appointment. You can do that 15 minutes, put that time aside, and work with our specialist, and they should be able to help you see where you are, where you have a leak, and how they can help you out. So thank you, everyone. Again, my name is Samad, and it was really pleasure to talk to you all today. I know I took a little bit more time than I wanted, but thank you again, and we'll see you soon. If you do implement this, please make sure you send us your feedback. This is my email address, my phone number, and you can find me on LinkedIn. And if you're local here in Dallas, we'd love to meet you. Take care.